Hi, I'm Lizzie. I'm sitting in my studio, which is a shed at the end of my garden. And you can see behind me this pink curtain here. That's where the still life is on the other side. So I'm an artist. I do lots of illustrations, kind of all sorts of different things like digital illustrations for brands, or I do really big drawings onto windows in shops or kind of cafes and things. And then I also put my own illustrations onto clothing. So I'm going to show you a few bits just for some examples. So this is a t-shirt that I designed, and it's got some illustrations on the back and then on the arms, and this is kind of what we'll be doing today, although this one's screen printed, this one isn't drawn on. And then actually this is a good example of what we're going to do today. This is a hand drawn one, which is similar to what we'll be making, and that's using Posca Pen, which I'm going to show you how to use. So that's a bit of my work. I just go through what you need for the workshop today before we get started. So we're going to use a piece of cardboard, and that is what we're going to stretch our t-shirt over. So you also need a t-shirt. I'm going to work on a child's t-shirt just because that's easier to show on the camera. You want to make sure that your t-shirt is 100% cotton. You can usually check that in the label inside. That's just because if you use something that's synthetic, like lycra or nylon, the ink won't get absorbed into the fabric. So you just want something natural. So cotton or maybe linen would work, but cotton's the best thing to use. The t-shirt doesn't have to be white, but it kind of, the design will show up more if you're using a light coloured fabric. So I'm using a white one. And then you'll also need some, let me put that out of the way. You'll need some paper. I've got a few different coloured bits just for some kind of practice drawing. And then I've got some larger A3 paper for us to do our design on. I've also got paintbrushes. These are if you want to use fabric paint. And I've also got some fabric paint here. If you can use fabric paint and Posca pens, or just Posca pens or fabric paint. These are really great pens that I use. You can actually draw on windows, you can draw on glass with them, you can draw on ceramics and paper, and then if you draw on fabric, you iron over the back of it and it will become permanent on the fabric. So they're really amazing pens. I use them all the time. And then just got some water to rinse your brushes, kitchen roll to dry your brushes. And I think, oh, I've got a little plate as well to mix fabric paint on, because the fabric paint is just like normal paint, so you can mix colours. So that's kind of useful if you want to make a colour that you don't have. I've just got the primary colours of paint and some white, so I can kind of make all the colours out of these three fabric paints. And I think that's everything that you need. So to start off with, we're just going to do a few little quick drawing exercises, because sometimes if I just come and sit at still life, I can find it a bit kind of, I suppose, a bit intimidating to just start drawing something that you think you're going to then put on a t-shirt that's going to be permanent. So I think it's quite nice just to warm up with some drawing exercises. So I'm just going to take a Posca pen. I've just got some A4 paper here. I quite like drawing on paper like that isn't white, just because I find sometimes a white page can feel a bit daunting. So if you just draw onto a piece of paper that's colourful, it makes me feel a bit less worried about what I'm drawing. So these first ones, we're just going to use these as kind of practice drawings. So don't worry if you don't like what you've drawn. These are just to kind of get our hands warmed up and get into drawing. So if we go on to the still life, then we can have a look. So on the still life, I've got kind of things that would quite typically be in a still life: flowers, fruit. It's kind of just an arrangement of things that I like. I made the column, the yellow column, that's a kind of ceramic, it's like a candlestick holder, I suppose, but I made that just because I really love columns. And then the blue vase with palm trees, I just drew that onto a vase. So they're kind of, some of the things are things that I've made, but they're just things that I like to draw, and I think a good starting point for a t-shirt design. But to begin with, I'm just gonna start by not looking at my paper. And I'm just gonna do like a quick outline of the things that we can see, but without looking at our paper. So I find this is quite a good way of getting into drawing, and then because you're not looking at your paper, you're not too worried about what you're doing. So I'll start, and you can see what I mean. It kind of always comes out kind of funny looking, but I really like that. So I'm just going to put my pen on the page, and then I'm not going to look at what I'm drawing. So I'm just going to draw the kind of bowl with lemons. I can't really remember where I started, so this might all be funny. And then behind, I think around here, is that spider plant. And that's kind of got really overgrown and mad. So I'm just going to draw some leaves. And then here's that nice red wobbly vase. And I don't know if I've got enough room because this is quite a small piece of paper, but I'm going to draw the leaf coming out of it. And I don't think the scale's very good. And then over here, I think I've got room to draw the column. And then maybe, I'm sure I'm drawing all over them, but never mind. Here's the flowers, the hydrangeas. Let's see what I've done. Oh, it's not too all over on top of each other, but hopefully you've had a go at doing that, and it will just free up our hands a bit into doing some drawing. So I'm going to put that to one side now. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just have a look at the composition of what's here. Sometimes when I'm doing a t-shirt design, I'll make a kind of scene, kind of like the one that I showed you with the car. That's got a kind of, I suppose it looks 3D because there's things overlapping. But then sometimes I'll just draw objects all spaced out, and they're not kind of 3D. So just to start off, we're just going to do a really quick kind of, I don't actually have my time, I can't see the time. Jen, can you tell me like 2 minutes?
Yeah, of course. I'll keep track of that for you, Lizzie.
Okay, thank you. So we're just going to do 2 minutes, just a line drawing, just to kind of have a look at the composition. And I think when I draw things, rather than just like take a photo of them in a, say if I've gone to like a museum or something, when you draw things, you start to really notice the shape or the texture, rather than just looking at something when you're taking a picture. So I think if we just do a 2-minute line drawing of the composition, then it will help us kind of understand objects a bit, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So I'm going to start by drawing the vase. So this time I'm going to actually look at my paper and then kind of look at how they're all interacting with each other. So I'm going to leave space for that yellow column with the little handles, and then it's got a kind of bit there. And then there's this shape, it's like a scalloped edge and palm trees. And then I might change into a yellow Posca pen for the column. I can already see that I've done this not to scale, but really don't worry about whether things look as they do on the still life. The still life's kind of just a starting point. And I prefer things to look a bit kind of wobbly, I suppose. So I'm going to draw that so it goes behind the column. And then at the bottom, there's that scallop shape again. And then this kind of Greek key pattern kind of comes out there. And then there's another leaf there. And then I've just realized probably 2 minutes has gone, but we'll just keep going. I'm just going to draw this wobbly vase.
20 seconds left, Lizzie.
Why did I say 2 minutes? I could have said longer. But anyway, you kind of get the idea. So we're just really looking at the shapes, and maybe just do a quick little spider plant over here.
You've just hit the 2 minute mark, Lizzie.
Okay. So just had a more kind of detailed look at the still life. Now, what I usually do is take things that I like from my drawing, and then you can either like rip them out and then use that as your design, or kind of keep that bit and then do another bit that you're going to use. So don't worry if you've got, I used to always feel like I had one bit I liked and then I'd ruin the rest of it. So don't worry if that's happened to you and you just want to pick out one piece, because we're going to use our drawings as something to trace in our t-shirts. So I'll just show you that stage so that you can see what we're doing, and then we'll get back to doing our drawing. So I've got the t-shirt and I'm just going to put the piece of cardboard inside. You can use anything. I always have cardboard lying around in my studio because I make quite a lot of props and things out of cardboard, but you could use like a cereal box or like those big boxes that Amazon things come in or something like that. Just anything that you can use to keep the fabric flat. So I'm just going to tuck the arms under, and then I don't think I'm going to use this one as my design, but I'll just show you what we're going to do. So I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but where I've drawn with the darker blue pen, you can kind of see, you can see the vase so that you can trace that onto your fabric. So that's what we're going to be aiming to do for our t-shirt design. So if you had two drawings on two different bits of paper, it doesn't matter, because you can put kind of two separate sheets underneath, or you could do one drawing, take that sheet out and then put another one in. So let's go back to our still life. Is the still life on the main screen? Let me see. It's not on my one. I don't know why. Let me see if I can change it onto so I can see it. Oh. Oh, there we go. Now I can see it. Great. So we're going to have a bit more time now. I'm just going to take bits that I like from the still life rather than drawing the whole still life. I quite like kind of having, when I design a t-shirt or a window or something, I quite like just having loads of elements kind of spaced out rather than in a scene. So you can decide what you'd like to draw from the still life. If you particularly like the vase with the flowers, then you could just do a t-shirt design with just that on the front. So I'm going to think about what I want on my t-shirt. So I'm going to draw, I think I'm going to draw the wobbly vase. And this one I'm doing on white paper. And because we're going to trace this onto our t-shirt, I would say use kind of a dark colour pen, because you're going to want to be able to see this through your fabric. And if, like when I used the blue paper, it was hard to see like the yellow design that I'd done. So I'm just going to spend a bit of time thinking about my composition of what I want to be on my t-shirt. So I'm going to start by drawing the vase, the red vase. And then I really like the pink flower next to it. So I'm going to draw that hydrangea. And it's kind of a really nice cloud shape, but it's made up of lots of separate little flowers. I'm just going to draw them in. And then they've got a nice leaf underneath. Another one there. If there's anything that you really want to add onto your t-shirt, don't feel like you have to kind of follow this still life. Like maybe you could take one element of it, the vase or something, and then you could add something that you really like from your imagination. Like I really love adding palm trees into my designs just because I love them and they make me feel really cheerful, but I definitely don't have a palm tree to draw. So if there's something you'd like to add, please do. Don't feel like you have to do just what I've done. So I'm just going to draw these leaves. And then start to draw this vase. I've already drawn this one on my other design, so I could use that. Where did I put it? I could use the one I've already drawn and kind of put that underneath, but I'll leave that for now. And then I think I'm gonna just add handles on. I really love the column, but I've kind of run out of space over here. So I think I might just draw the column next to the vase. I think this is called an ionic column. I really love ancient Greek things, and they had all different sorts of columns for different buildings. So they had kind of less decorative columns that were for things like libraries, and then more decorative ones for, I'm not sure what buildings, but for other buildings. And I just really love the shape of the kind of swirly bit of the column. And then I think I've kind of not left myself enough room for the leaf. I think I might just draw it down here because I love that cheese plant shape of the leaf. Can always add or move around the bit of paper. So I'm going to add a bit of paper on behind. Oops, sorry, that was my paintbrushes falling over. I'm just going to add a bit of paper there so I can draw this cheese plant leaf. There we go, and it's got a really nice line going there, and then lines going off. Kind of see there, really simple line drawing. I mean, this is going to be way too big to use in my child's t-shirt, so I think I'm going to have to choose a bit that I like that will fit onto the front of the t-shirt, or maybe I'll use this as my starting point and then draw the design again for what I'm going to put inside the t-shirt. But just mainly wanted to show kind of how you can play around with your ideas before you get to the t-shirt stage, because once you're drawing on the t-shirt, you can't rub anything out or kind of start again. So it's good to have your plan really worked out. Sorry, Jen, I've just realised I don't know the time.
No, that's perfect, Lizzie. I was just about to interject. You just got me at the perfect moment. Let everyone know that we're about halfway through today's workshop. Don't fear if you don't finish your design today. I'm sure, as Lizzie will let you know, you can obviously finish it afterwards. We'd love to see them as well. I'd just like to take this opportunity to say a big hello to Johnson PQ, Ladywell unit, who's joined us today. They've really been looking forward to this workshop, Lizzie. So we really thank them for being here today. We also want to say a really big hello to Snowsfield's adolescent unit. Your wonderful OT Una has kind of made me do a little shout out for you today. You always send through your incredible artworks, and we really appreciate you being with us. If you'd like to let us know where you're joining us from today, just pop that into the Q&A box. If you've got a question for Lizzie, please let us know that too. Just a little reminder and recap that we're about halfway through the workshop today.
Great, so I think I'll start doing a t-shirt because we've kind of talked about the still life, and hopefully you've got some inspiration from it, or there's a bit of the still life that you would like to put onto your t-shirt. So I've just got my t-shirt, I've put the cardboard inside, and I think I'm gonna actually tear, because this design is so big for the little t-shirt, I think I'm actually going to tear. I really like this flower in the vase, so I'm just going to tear off these bits, put that inside. Hopefully you can see the design through the t-shirt there. And I think I'm also going to use my column. So I've just torn my column out from the big design, and I think that will fit really nicely next to the hopefully you can see there, next to the vase. So I'm going to do the vase first. Drawing on the fabric feels really different to the paper. So I usually, with my left, I'm right-handed, so with my left hand, I try and hold the fabric kind of flat. And then I'm going to use a pink Posca pen just to do the outline of my flowers. So I'm trying to hold the fabric flat, and then you kind of have to make little marks rather than just on paper. You just kind of go for it and draw quite fast. You have to do kind of, I'd say, like feathery marks. Take a little bit there, and then go around.
I'm just going to take this moment while Lizzie's working on her design and everyone is, to say a really big hello to Robert and everyone at ES1, and that is in Maudsley Hospital. Big hello to Marie and everyone at Lavender Ward. Both of the staff and patients are really enjoying your class today, Lizzie, so thank you very much. Big hello again to Kent and Medway Adolescent Unit. Thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to see your designs too. And another big hello to Chesham House in Bethlehem Hospital. Everyone's really enjoying the workshop today, Lizzie.
Oh, I'm so glad people are enjoying it. I find drawing on t-shirts, even though at first it can feel a bit time, it takes quite a long time, but I just love seeing it kind of appear, and it's so nice. Instead of just having a drawing that you've done like on a bit of paper or in a sketchbook, which is also really nice, I just love having something that you can wear. This one I'm going to give to my toddler to wear. There we go. So I've finished that flower, and then I'm going to use my green pen and just draw in that stalk. And then there's a leaf I've drawn there. Okay. You do get quite a different kind of feel from your drawing on the paper. It's hard to get a really perfect line, but I quite like that about drawing on the fabric. I just have to go with how it comes out rather than trying to make it really perfect. And then I'm just going to draw the vase. I've actually got some fabric paint that's the same colour as this Posca pen. So I'm going to draw the outline. And then where there's a big area of blue, I'm going to use the fabric paint to just fill that in, because it can take quite a long time with the pens. So done that bit. And I'm just going to use I've got a kind of thin paintbrush here, and I've got my paint. Just going to use some of the fabric paint to fill in this area a bit quicker.
just to let everyone know that we've got about 15 minutes left of the workshop today, but again, don't rush. Hopefully you can finish this afternoon if you don't finish it within the workshop time today. Just got a few more hellos and shout outs to do today. Again, big hello to Marie and everyone joining us in Rookery Gardens. They're really loving the session today, Lizzie. Big hello to Lee Chen, who's they're joining us for their first ever online art workshop, and they're really loving it, and they say a big thank you. Hello to Sally and everyone joining us from Newsham Centre in Leeds, and another big hello to Suzanne. Suzanne has asked the question, Lizzie, are you using broad Posca markers? Do you know what size they are?
So these ones, they are the 1.8 to 2.5 millimeter. So I don't know if you can see, I bring it kind of close up to the screen. Ooh, there we go. It's kind of, I'd say it's a medium nib, because you can get really, really chunky Posca pens, and then there's kind of an in-between. This isn't the thinnest. I've got a much thinner one actually here. This is you can probably see the difference better there. And then they do come in really, really fine. I don't think I've got one here because they don't really work on the t-shirts, but this one is a 1.3 millimeter. But they come in all different sizes, and you can get really, really chunky ones that I think are about a centimetre wide, the nib, and that's what I use for doing window drawings, like when I have a really big bit to colour in. I'm going to draw the Greek key bit. I don't work for Posca, by the way. I feel like I'm just talking about how much I love them. They're just really great. I wish I worked for Posca, but I don't. So I'm just doing the kind of Greek key bit around the bottom. Fill that in. Get my paint. I might fill that bit in with paint. And then I'll move on to the column. I think I might make the column really colourful, even though in real life the ceramic one is just yellow. I think I might add quite a lot of colours. I just really like colourful things, so I think I'm going to make that one a bit more colourful than it is in real life. Got a thinner paintbrush, I think might be good for this bit. Oh, I forgot the palm trees on here. I need to add the palm trees. So I think there's 3. So I'm going to do one in the middle. And then I'm going to do some coming off the side, and I suppose that will make it look a bit more 3D-ish. I mean, it doesn't look that 3D, but it gives you an idea that it kind of carries on around the side. I'm going to leave those for now, and I'll come back to colouring them in because I want to get started on my column. I'm going to move this over here and just get my column in the right position. So I think I can take out, I'm going to take this one out now. If you use fabric paint, be careful when you take your design out, just because it can see on this design it's kind of gone through. So just pull it out really carefully. Now I've got that in place, I'm going to just put my column, I think I might do it quite high up, kind of next to it. So I don't want it to be too low down so you can't see it. So I think I'm going to use, some yellow. yellow is my favourite colour.
And Lizzie, I've just got a question because I've just kind of thought of it. On a lot of your t-shirt designs, you've got kind of images and graphics on the sleeves as well. Would you just kind of put a smaller piece of cardboard into the sleeves if you wanted to do designs on there?
Yeah, definitely. If you've got a long sleeve t-shirt, just cut like a narrow piece of cardboard. And then that, yeah, that would be a really good way of doing sleeves. I suppose you could even do it like on a tube, like a postal cardboard tube might be quite good. You don't want to stretch the fabric too much, because then when you take out whatever you kind of stretched it over, your pitch might be a bit distorted. So it's kind of just finding something that helps you draw on it flat without stretching it too much. So I'm just going to draw my outline of the column. In yellow.
Lizzie, we've had a question come through about how to fix the Posca markers. Do we need to iron that afterwards?
Yeah, so after you, actually with fabric paint as well, it's not as important with fabric paint, but it's just good to do it with both. Once you finish your design, you need to leave it to dry, especially if you've used fabric paint. I don't know if you can see there, but it's still quite wet. So I would leave it flat. I mean, if you can, overnight would probably be best, at least for like a couple of hours. And then you turn your t-shirt inside out, and then you just iron on the back of the design. You could put a piece of paper, say, kind of put a piece of paper over the front of the design like that, turn it inside out, and then iron, just so you don't, just in case it transferred onto like the back of the t-shirt, if that makes sense. So you just want to iron it on a cotton setting, and just go over it maybe like 5 times, and that will just make the ink or the fabric paint really absorb into the t-shirt fibres. And then you can put it in the washing machine and it won't come off. This one that I made, that I showed you at the beginning, this one's been washed so many times, it's kind of, you can see it's like faded a bit, but it's still, you can still see it really well. And that's been washed loads.
So just as a time indication for everyone, we've got about 5 minutes left of the workshop today. However, if you have got time this afternoon to carry on, build up your design, add more elements, please do. But we've got 5 minutes left with Lizzie today. And I just want to say more hellos. We've had lots come through today. Big hello to Hull PQ and everyone joining us from there. Lucy Garwood has joined us from the Women's Ward at Newsom in Leeds, and they're really enjoying the workshop, Lizzie, today. And another big hello to Signet Godden Green, Oakwood Ward, who are loving the class, and they say a big thank you.
I'm so glad. That's really nice to hear. It's gone so fast. I can't believe we've only got 5 minutes left. But this is definitely something, even if you can't finish it today, you can come back to, because it's not like when you want to do like a painting and kind of keep going because the paint's drying. This is definitely something you could finish another time. I suppose you could even iron it and wear it and then add to it even later. Just adding lots of colour to this bit. I think we need some red. I haven't got any red in the design yet. I'm just going to do a red wiggly line here. There we go. And then I've nearly finished this column. So I've got a bit of time to finish my palm trees now.
Just for those people that are using the raise hand function on the Zoom, we're not actually responding or using that today. If you would like to pop a question into the Q&A, we'll be more than happy to answer that there.
Okay. Just move the design down so you can see it. Pink. I find it quite hard to stop with things, but I think maybe that's a good place to stop. I mean, you could definitely add more flowers if you wanted to. Now I've said that, maybe I'll add one more flower. But it is good to know when to stop, although I don't think we need one more flower. Okay. Just thinking what you said, Jenna, about doing the sleeves, and that just made me think you could, I've never done this, but you could make trousers, like matching trousers would be so cool. If you had something that you could draw on, you could do a whole outfit.
So we've just had a question come through from Charlotte Webb, and Charlotte wants to know if there's any way we can share our designs with both Hospital Rooms and Lizzie. Absolutely, please do. We really welcome your submissions. If you'd like to go onto our website, hospital-rooms.com, you can access the Digital Art School page there, and there's actually a gallery tab. If you click on that, there's somewhere where you can upload your images to Dropbox, and we will add all of those to our gallery, and we'll of course share them with Lizzie as well.
I'd love to see them. It'd be so great to see everyone's designs. Right, I really am going to stop now. Just going to do this leaf, and then I think I'm done. There we go. So if you have used fabric paint and it's really wet, I would leave the piece of cardboard inside just while it dries, but you can kind of slide your hand under and just make sure it's not actually attached to the bit of cardboard, because sometimes when the paint's really wet, it will go through and then kind of, it's almost like it gets glued onto the piece of cardboard. So just when you're finished, just check that it's not attached, and then leave the piece of cardboard inside until it's dry, which will help it dry flat. And then when you iron it, just remember to turn it inside out, and you're ironing the back of the design, not the front. And then once you've done that, they're ready to wear or give to someone as a present.
Amazing. That was a really, really, really wonderful way to open up our new term of Summer Brights, Lizzie. Thank you so much for such a fantastic workshop today. I'm sure everyone will agree the still life is absolutely gorgeous. The colours are wonderful. It's really inspiring. And, you know, we really hope that lots of you submit your submissions to our gallery. We'd absolutely love to see what you've created. And we'll, of course, share those with Lizzie as well. So I'd like to just say another huge thank you to Lizzie on behalf of Hospital Rooms today for such an incredible workshop. Thanks to everyone that submitted a question and let us know where you've been joining us from. It's been really lovely to have you all with us. It's now time to launch our end of workshop poll. If you could indicate on your screens how you found the workshop today, this will help us to improve the Digital Art School as we continue to grow and develop our programme. So that should be appearing on your screens now. So I'll just give everyone a few moments to have a read and answer of that. We've got everyone's results coming through. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm just going to end that poll now. Lizzie, just so you've got an indication as well, everyone's rated that fantastic.
Oh, great.
Fantastic. Thanks everyone for submitting your responses. Richard, if you can please bring back our slideshow. Wonderful. If you're still here with us, I'd like to share the story of Hospital Rooms and how the workshop today has come about. So we are a London-based arts and mental health charity, and we transform inpatient mental health units with extraordinary art. We began the Digital Art School in response to COVID-19 lockdowns when our in-person work in mental health units was put on hold. It's been hugely important for us to build a creative community where we can join together and feel part of something special. And we are now a Webby Award-winning programme. You can find the library of our past projects and all of the previous Digital Art School workshops on our YouTube channel, where you'll find a variety of original and high quality workshops with world-class artists. Please have a look and do subscribe to our channel. We also have a Digital Art School newsletter, which keeps you informed of upcoming workshops, the materials you'll need for them, along with any relevant downloads and links to last week's video. You can sign up for that at hospital-rooms.com. We'd absolutely love for you to share your artworks with us from any of our Digital Art School workshops by uploading to our online gallery. We love seeing the works you've created, and we always share your work with our artists. You can do so anonymously, or you can let us know your name and where you are. If you've customised a t-shirt today, either joining us live or watching back on demand, we'd love to see them. We'll be back next week with painter Venetia Berry, who'll be leading us through a colourful self-portraiture workshop. Be sure to register for that for free on our website. From myself and everyone at Hospital Rooms, thank you all so much once again for joining us today. Another huge thank you to Lizzie King for leading today's fantastic workshop. Thank you all again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.